So we have our handler set up, we have a form tag around our entire calendar, and we have the route set up. And there's a few other things we need to do before we can actually work with things. Remember what we want to do here, and this is all we're working on right now, is if I uncheck this date and click Save Changes, I want to come back to this page, whatever month and year I'm currently looking at, and I want that block to be removed. But if I click, say, this one, which was not checked to start with, and click Save Changes, then I want to come back to the current page I'm looking at and have this checked. So I should be able to check and uncheck things in the same step. So the first thing to bear in mind is I need to be able to come back to whatever month I'm looking at. Right now, as I record this, is December 2020. Christmas is just a few days away. But what if I'm looking at this month and I want to block these two dates and click Save Changes? I don't want to go back to December 2020, which is the current month. I want to come back to the one that I was last looking at. So there's a few changes I need to make. So I'm going to go back to my IDE. I'm going to find my reservations calendar. And at the top here, after this input type equals hidden for CSRF token, I'm going to duplicate that twice. And I'm going to call the first one I created M for month, and the next one Y for year. And the value that I'm going to display in there is actually the current month and the current year. And I already have those in the string map, so I can pull those right out of there. Index.string_map, and the value that I'm looking for is this month. And this one is going to be also from the index.string_map. And if you recall, I called that one this month year. Okay, so let's save that. Reload this page. I'll just reload this one. And if I look at this and come down to the hidden, just search for the word hidden, there they are, 03 and 2021. Perfect. That's what I need. So I'm definitely going to want to have that. The other thing to bear in mind, if we scroll down here to this input where I'm displaying the checkbox, if there is a block in place, I'm checking it, I give it a name, and I give it a value. But if there is no value in the map blocks, then I'm just giving it a name. I actually need to give it a value too. Otherwise, it's not actually going to get passed. It won't actually get submitted to the form with any meaningful value. I'm just going to give it 1. Anything greater than 0 will suffice. So I've made that change. Now, let's go back to our handlers and start thinking about what we're going to do. Well, the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm posting a form here, so I'll do what I always do when I post a form, is I'll parse the form. Otherwise, I can't even write tests for this. So we'll parse the form if error is not equal to nil, our standard error check, and because I'm in the admin here, all I really care about is helpers.serverError, W and error, and the return. Okay, which needs to be spelled correctly. So I've parsed my form data. Now I can actually do something with it. So those two hidden fields I just added, Y and M, I'm going to grab those so I can do my redirect appropriately. Year, and I'm going to ignore the error because it's a hidden field that I know is there, is strconv A2I, and I'm getting r.form.get, and this is the year, so I name that one Y, and then we'll do month. Month and M. And now let's do our redirect. The last thing I do after all of my processing takes place, and I'm skipping that step right now, is to redirect. So I'll just put a message in the session, m.app.session.put and r.context, as always, flash, and I'll lie to us right now, changes saved, and it's a lie because we haven't actually saved the changes yet. And then we'll do an http.redirect, which requires a response writer, a pointer to a request, the URL, which will, in this case, not just be the name of the calendar page. I want to take them back to the correct URL. So we'll use a format sprintf, format.sprintf, and we're going to take them to admin/reservationscalendar, and we're going to put y equals with a placeholder for an int, and m equals and a placeholder for an int, and the placeholders will be year and month, and we need to give them some status, http.status_cother. Okay, so let's just make sure this works before we go any further. So we'll stop this, start it up again, and go back to our calendar, and I'll click on this one, and I'll go to, say, February 2021, and I'll just click Save Changes. I'll actually check this. It won't do anything with it, but I'll check it and say Save Changes. And it took me back to February 2021, and it lied to me and said changes are saved. So that part is working. The next step is to actually handle the posted blocks and unblocks, things that are checked that weren't before, and things that are not checked that were before. So we actually need to handle that logic in our code right about here. So this is where we're going to process blocks. And we'll get started with that in the next lecture.